Sup, guys? It's u4iX, and I'm joined by...
Clicked!
And we've got a little different format, going with a more video style, trying to bring back that live stream discussion debate-esque feel. So today we're going to be talking about the map Adrift, which is a map we first saw during E3 and from MLG in that GameSpot-like exclusive being played by pros. So first off, the MLG players obviously focused heavily on the return of the BR, and they used Promethean Vision because of a limited sandbox during that event. Now we have the full sandbox, and we've seen some new gameplay, so I want to get Click's opinion on what he thinks the full sandbox will feel like on this map. So what armor abilities and stuff do you see being used more? Probably Promethean Vision as well, but what are your thoughts on it?
Well, when you're talking about the E3 build from E3, everybody was playing really different compared to how they're playing now, just because of how there's been some minor tweaks to both the armor abilities and the sandbox, and there's also some new weapons that we didn't see before at E3. So for example, Promethean Vision is not as significant as it was in the E3 build, so people are probably going to use it still to see through all of the walls on the map, but it's just not going to be just as effective. And then we've seen changes to what other weapons are available in the loadouts. So for example, like the sight lines on Adrift, they're not really that long since it's more of a close quarters hallway kind of map. So we won't be seeing a lot of DMR action. I think it's going to be more or less all about the assault rifle and like the BR. But the cool thing about all of these small maps is how you're not relying on sprint as much. Even though you do have sprint all the time, you can rely on things like the hard light shield more often, so you can pop up the hard light shield when a guy is shooting at you and then go through another hallway or go downstairs to the middle floor. So yeah, besides that, I mean, I don't think it's going to change the game that much. It's just going to, like some things that you're used to on like playing different maps, like Haven, for example, that has a lot of long sight lines. And so when you're playing this map, you have to change up your loadouts just a little bit. Don't use the DMR. I mean, there are a few sight lines on that map that have, like that they can use the DMR for, I guess.
Right.
But it's just like going back to that one map, Abandoned. Like, I don't think anybody's going to use the DMR on that map. I think they're going to stick with the close range weapons. So, I mean, what do you think the players are going to use?
So I think, yeah, BR is actually probably going to be pretty strong on this map because it fits that medium range role. But in terms of other weapons, I think the assault rifle would catch on this map because you can sort of catch players off guard in a close quarters scenario. And for that same reason, I see the bolt shot being very powerful, especially in its overcharge mode. As far as armor abilities go, I think people will find some really unique uses for the auto sentry in terms of how to defend. For instance, if they're looking down that man cannon sight line as well as that hallway sight line, you can sort of throw up an auto sentry to watch your back. So I see that sort of playing a better role. And again, like you said, Promethean Vision will probably still be used, but my sort of final take on it is with the full sandbox, you're going to have a lot more useful options. So the Promethean Vision won't look as overpowered as it did, say, in that E3 MLG type build. So moving on to the next, we've actually only seen two main game types played in full on this map, Regicide, the FFA variant, and then Slayer. So do you think there's any game types that'll play well, or what game types are you excited to see on Adrift?
Well, I believe Slayer is going to work for sure. Regicide is more of a casual game type, which I think is going to work on that map, but when you're talking about competitive play, I don't think that game type is going to work at all. But the standard MLG game type, so we'll talk about Flag and Bomb and King of the Hill. So with Capture the Flag, with how the map is laid out, and maybe this would be a great time to show that graphic. So since there's so many hallways and ramps, I think the map is going to play more like the pit than anything. So you can pull out the flag and then run through a hallway, and when you're inside of that hallway, the other team can't shoot you unless they're there. There's no sight line to see that specific spot that you're at. So I'm not sure if Capture the Flag will work. If we do use it, it's just going to be a totally different experience. And then for Bomb, it's going to be similar to say midship or something, in a way where it's going to be really difficult to predict where the bomb carrier is at. So, I mean, all of these things, it's kind of hard to speculate on, but once we play it, we'll see if it's broken or not. But I think the one game type that will work is King of the Hill, because King of the Hill can control the pace and where the battles are fought. So the hill can go to the middle, so that forces all the players to go to the middle. And then if the hill is inside of, like, say, the hallway on the blue side of the map, then all the players have to go there. It's there's not going to be any like camping really. It's not going to, like, the objective is not really going to change the map that much, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. I see King of the Hill playing really nice, obviously, and then that depends on the spawn system too. Coming from the competitive side, that's going to play heavily, just based on, you know, how playable or how frustrating it is to hold a hill if you're getting, you know, sort of random spawns and you can't control the spawns that well. But I think Assault will actually play really nicely on this map. Given the parameters, we've seen different iterations of Assault before where the notifications of when someone was arming was different. The objective notifications of someone carrying it or not were different. But I think if it's sort of like a Halo 2 style where it works very nicely, then Promethean vision will be useful in sort of spotting the bomb carrier, and I think defending will work really cool on the map since there's like a man cannon into each of the bases. Then you have sort of 2 hallways to come through. So I really like the attack-defend dynamic that could play out there. But again, yeah, like you said, we'll just have to see. But I think Assault is definitely what I'm most excited to try. And then to go on that, the initial Ordnance on this map, IGN, talking with the 343 lead map designer, they talked about the initial Ordnance, and from what he said, it depends on the game type, so game type to game type will vary, but typically you'll find a sword in the middle under that mech, scatter shots and sticky detonators, and then sniper rifles will sometimes spawn in the bases. So how does that make you feel? That's like a lot. My initial impression was that's a lot of power weapons compared to previous maps. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the cool thing about having a huge amount of ordnance drops is it's going to allow the players to play differently for every, you know, different ordnance drop. So for example, if you have the sword, you have to stay inside of those hallways and, you know, use that close range weapon. But if you have a sniper rifle, for example, then you have to play differently. You have to go to a different area, like say go to the top middle area or that platform above it, so you have a nice sight line of the entire middle area and might have a couple of sight lines looking into the hallways. And then, you know, going to the scatter shot, same thing with sword, you have to stay in those hallways or in those close quarters areas. So it's going to be interesting, but it's going to be kind of weird to play a game that has these like random ordnance drops, because you don't know what the other team is going to get until like the last second. And so if they get a scatter shot, the game has to change. And then if they get a sniper rifle, the game is going to change again. So it's going to be nice to see like a variety of different gameplay in a single map. But I guess, I mean, over the next couple months, we'll see if we need to remove some of them, maybe add in a rocket launcher, or you know, do something else with the ordnance drops.
Yeah, I agree. Just it comes down to like seeing how it plays out. I'm not scared of these, you know, power weapons that spawn. I think the sticky detonator will play extremely well. It's going to be really creative to see how people use that to either bait players or shut down areas or cut off certain pathways, and sort of set up traps, activate trap cards for the other team. And sniper rifles in the base kind of makes sense, maybe in a limited quantity. So maybe, you know, like a lower ammo count will spawn in those snipers, so we'll have to wait and see. But I'm excited to see that many power weapons. I think it's sort of, it almost puts people into these roles to where you can then build a class or a loadout around a power weapon that might come up. So you say you see a scatter shot spawn, and then you pick a certain loadout that sort of lets you play in closer range, in tighter quarters maybe. So I'm excited to see that many power weapons, because I think it'll make the gameplay that much more dynamic.
Yeah, well, here's another thing that I just thought of a second ago. So we were talking about the ordnance drops, including the sticky detonator, and so some strategies that I just thought of is, like say at the start of the game, you're the first guy to get an ordnance drop, and you see a sticky detonator pop up. So what you can do is pick up that, and then when a teammate or an enemy or whatever picks up another ordnance drop, you can plant a sticky detonator on it before anybody else gets to it, and then like bait it maybe.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's going to be interesting to see all those strategies that involves, you know, those ordnance drops, because also with the sniper rifle, you can see an ordnance drop from far away and maybe pick off or bait players towards it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I could see like I don't know how familiar you are with like the noob tube in Modern Warfare 2, how you could just like basically point up straight at the sky and like land it.
Yeah.
I wonder if that'd be at all possible from like a base to base sticky detonator, like
That'd be ridiculous.
Onto their sniper rifle spawn.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be sick. So yeah, I think that'll about do it though for this Adrift sort of preview and the Halo Council's impressions and what we think. Again, I'm u4iX.
And I'm Clicked.
So we'll catch you next time. Be sure to subscribe, like, thumbs up. You guys know. You know the drill. Anyways, that'll cover it. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Woo!